Hey everyone, this is Keith Rawson from Spinetingler Magazine, and I'm once again sitting down with Mr. Joe Lansdale. Joe, thank you for sitting down with me
I'm
tonight.
glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Joe's here in Scottsdale, of course, promoting The Edge of Dark Water. We just had a fantastic appearance with both him and Johnny Shaw. And Joe, first off, with The Edge of Dark Water, the one thing I've noticed with most of your novels is that you have a real affection for writing about young people, but particularly adolescents, teenagers. Why is that?
I think that a lot of it, as I think we kind of discussed it tonight, is that I have to keep myself excited. And one way to do that is that by looking through young and innocent eyes, you get to explore the world constantly anew. And it brings you back to your own experiences from childhood and from life. And so to me, to be able to go back in time and to be fresh again and to look at things new again is part of the appeal.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of the appeal, but part of the appeal. And also, it's before you're capable and you don't know a lot of things about life, but you think you do. And it's an innocent time. And I think it's that fascinating time when you start realizing the world's not exactly what you thought. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse.
Now, you really have a wide range of characters in the novel. Now, basically, especially with the three friends, with Sue Ellen, with Jinx, with Terry. Was this something that was purposeful when you started writing the novel?
No, but it was a way for me to express different points of view and to bring different ideas and different problems into the story. And so in that way, it just developed naturally. And I've always said that, I'm a subconscious writer, so I don't know how much of that is nestled in the subconscious like a thorn, But so when I plan to write, I just kind of have a feeling more than a plot, and I sort of get a mood. It's more like music with me. I start to feel the novels there more than I can know what it is. I may sense that I may know that it's going to be 1930s or something like that. I may know that I want to have a river involved, and I may want to know I have a raft involved, and maybe there's a murder involved. But that's about as specific as I get, and the novel begins to develop as I go. Every morning when I get up, it's usually there when I start writing. So.
How much planning does go into writing a novel for you? I mean,
That's it. You just heard it.
That basically it's so there's no outline, there's nothing like that starts you off.
Sometimes I'll make a note, don't forget the guy's eyes are blue, or here's a nice line that would describe something. But I don't ever plot it out. I tried when I first started to do that, and the books they had a false feeling to them, or they were very mechanical. So to me, I'm much more out of that pure storytelling tradition. I think tonight we're talking about that Johnny and I'd kind of written road novels, although mine's, I guess, a river road novel. But it's that kind of book where you're constantly surprised, where there's new events all the time, and you can keep yourself excited because it's not based on being in one specific area and solving one particular crime or mystery. Although, I like that too. But for me, that kind of adventure is an exploration novel, which is always exciting to me.
Absolutely.
It's like Jack Kerouac on the river.
Now, probably the most unique thing about the novel is that how the three friends, they of course at the beginning of the novel they find their friend Malin, they find her body, and then they decide to basically cremate her,
right,
and take her to Hollywood.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to ask where you came up with the idea because but is there kind of like a childlike wonder in discovering when an idea like that comes about? I mean,
when it happens, it's euphoric. But like I say, I don't always plan it. But when I get up in the morning and I'm riding along, I go, yeah, that's it right there. And sometimes you go, ooh, that's not it,
Yeah.
But you start when you have one like that you feel is just right. That's amazing. And the idea of cremation is not unusual, but the idea of these friends digging up her body and cremating it so they can take it to Hollywood because she wanted to be a movie star, but by going down the river to catch a bus.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the part that was appealing.
No, absolutely. Now, with the Depression era, and this is something that you're constantly asked, what is that attraction to writing about the Depression?
Well, I usually my usual answer in the short form is that my parents lived through the Great Depression when they were. My brother's older than me. He's by about 17 years, so he was born during that time. My parents were. My father was in his 40s. My mother was late 30s when I was born. My mom was born in 1915, I think. My dad in 1909, and so they had experienced the Great Depression as young adults and as adults. And so I had all of these stories from them about growing up during that era and all about how hard it was. And growing up in Gladewater and Mount Enterprise in East Texas when I was young and in the 50s and the 60s, for us, it wasn't a whole lot different than it was for the 30s. It was better than that time, but we were poor, you know, and so I relate to that kind of life. I relate to my father who couldn't read or write. He got to where he could read the newspaper a little bit as he got older and write his name, but he essentially was illiterate. And so part of it was because he was having to make a living during the Great Depression. He was, you know, when he was 8, and he was born in 1909. When he was 8, his mother died, and so he had to struggle along. So he never had that education. So he had a really hard life and hard experiences. And my mother, though she had a high school education, or the 11th grade, which at that time was a high school education in that area, it was tough for them. And so I often heard about those times, and they always fascinated me, even as I was a little kid. So when I got a chance to write, it's only natural, I think, that those sort of things, you know, would come out.
Now you have basically all of your fiction is based out of Texas.
East Texas primarily.
Primarily. Have you ever thought about writing in a different locale other than Texas?
Yeah, well, I guess I have a little bit, but here and there, but not frequently. You know, and I've also written some fantasy stuff that has, you know, I guess a fantastic background, not necessarily East Texas. And I have a novel that I'm doing now. If it goes the way I think it's going to go, it will take place partly out here and in other places. And it just depends on how that goes. You know, Hap and Leonard have been to Oklahoma and Louisiana and maybe Mexico, and I think that's as far as they go. But this is not a Hap and Leonard, and I don't want to talk too much about it because you know, as I just told you, I don't really know too much about it, and I would be lying to you, and because you know, I'd act like I've got this big plan, but I don't. But I do know that locale-wise, for what I want to do, that I probably will move aspects of it, part of it, some of the things that happen, it will take place in other areas. But, you know, I'm nothing against it, but even if I move somewhere else, even when I wrote Batman the Animated Series, a few people said, you know, it's like Alfred was from East Texas with an English accent. So I think you always write about the time that you live in and the place you grow up, whether you know it or not.
Absolutely. And I can't really picture your stories being anywhere else other than Texas.
Well, it's because I like the language of East Texas. I like the way people talk. I like the way the words sound, the way they're chewed, you know.
Now, we've been hearing a lot about a new YA novel coming out from Delacorte.
Well, it's come out, All the Earth Thrown to the Sky.
Absolutely. Are you writing another one for
I
them?
am. I'm writing, I think, 2 more. That's the plan.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it going to be a continuation, or is it...
No, it's going to be, each one's going to be different.
Really? It's an interesting way to approach YA, I mean, especially with kind of the drive for the series novels.
Yeah, and that's what they tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you always, when you're speaking with a publisher, do you take the advice of publishers, or
well,
do you
I mean,
always...
sometimes they have great ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and I'm not against writing a series. If I find something I love and I want to do, I'll do it. And if they say, you know, would it be cool if we had a series, I might go think about it. But I don't, like I said, I don't tend to have these sort of things where I start working this plot out. What will happen is there will be a moment of it's almost like an epiphany, and it comes to me in that moment. It's almost like a star, you know, boom, and then I know I have a novel, and if you ask me what it's about, I couldn't tell you. And I wouldn't because I don't want to talk it out, but I honestly don't know, but I know it's there. And I know all I've got to do is get up and start noodling, and it will start to present itself. But it has to nestle in the background, but it may well be a suggestion. It may well be an idea, but I'm just not as aware of it because I learned a long time ago I do better by doing the subconscious instead of the conscious.
Next book from Mulholland, are you working on that now?
I am.
Okay, so and that was just the book that we were speaking about previously.
Yes.
So can't go into too much detail on that.
I don't
one
have too
just
much
yet.
detail.
Yep. So how far are you into it?
About 6 or 7 pages.
Wow. Okay, so you are right.
I
You're
started
right.
right before I left. I finished Happen Leonard novella right before I left, and then I started this.
Now, is it with the novella? Is it going to be kind of a younger Happen Leonard, or
No.
is it going to be?
I did a novella called Hyenas with them
Yep.
that took place now, and that's what this is, Dead Aim. It's now. And I wrote a short story about Hap when he was young, but now I have yet another opportunity to do a novella, so that's about his present.
Absolutely. And Hyenas was fantastic.
Thank you.
I didn't get the chance to actually comment on that, but full length Happen Leonard anytime soon.
Not anytime soon, but certainly in the future.
Do you have to get yourself into a different mindset when you are writing them?
Happen Leonard?
Yeah.
It's the easiest mindset in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just natural. When I'm ready, I'm ready. But sometimes Happen goes on vacation or something. He's not talking to me.
Yeah. Are we at a moment right now where he's not?
Yeah, no, he just got through talking to me. I just finished the novella, so he and I are, we're on good terms.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, once again, I want to thank you
Thank
again.
you.
And once again, visit us more often, so you need to write faster,
Yeah.
obviously. But once again, everybody, this is Keith Rawson for Spinetingler Magazine, and this is Joe Lansdale.
Thank you.